Hey everyone, and welcome back. Is Marc Marquez the only reason MotoGP is still interesting today? I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think even though there is a very close fight between Pecco Bagnaia and Jorge Martin, there's still a point to be made here. In my opinion, you can look at this from two angles. One is that of a rider. And I know many of you guys are riding fast bikes. I know many of you are riding on track and have even ridden on MotoGP tracks. So you know how it is to go fast. You know how it is when it gets a bit dangerous, when there's a close overtake, you miss your braking marker, etc. We can't really put ourselves in the shoes of MotoGP riders, but we still have a sense of the danger that is involved in this sport. And when I look at this from the perspective of a rider, I cringe sometimes when I see Marc Marquez ride. Not all the time, but especially during his most desperate period at Honda, when he injured himself and also when he was just bowling other riders off the track. It was just a little too much. However, there's another perspective, and that is that of the spectator. And we're all watching this, aren't we? We do like the spectacle, we do see the merchandise, we do enjoy the stunt shows around the race weekends, etc., etc. And even the FIM has been trying to make it more attractive by introducing sprint races, which are not for every rider, as you know. So from that angle, the perspective of entertainment, I think the best time for MotoGP was obviously with Valentino Rossi. He's brought a lot to the sport with his charisma, personality, with the show on and off the track, of course with his riding style, but also with his great rivalries with the likes of Max Biaggi, Casey Stoner, Jorge Lorenzo and Marc Marquez. And in my opinion, ever since Rossi retired a few years ago, things have gotten a little stale in MotoGP. It's not boring by any means, but it's not quite the same it was before. And if you ask me, there are a few reasons for that. The first one is technological development. The bikes are getting better and better. You have all the aero features, the wings, you have all the electronics. Just think of the ride height devices, for example. And all of these things combined make overtakes more difficult and tend to drag out the races towards the end. Another point is, in my opinion, and you know I'm a Ducati fan, it has become a bit too much of a Ducati Cup. So other brands such as KTM or Aprilia are struggling to keep up. And the Asian brands, the Japanese brands, cannot keep up at all. And the worst thing to me was when a few years ago Suzuki actually announced that they would not continue to compete in MotoGP anymore. But the third point here to me is that these big rivalries from the past that I just mentioned are not quite there anymore. I think that Pecco and Jorge Martin are fabulous riders, and they are maybe sometimes more sportsmanlike than some people were in the past. But we are also missing a bit of the drama, if you're asking me. So into this situation returns Marc Marquez, 8 times world champion, willing to do anything to win. You know his riding style, you know his crashes, you know his saves, you know his overtakes is spectacular. And he returns after a very bad injury and switches from Honda, where he cannot be successful enough anymore, to Ducati, into a satellite team, leaves his big salary behind, not that he needs it anymore, and is immediately the fastest guy on the 2023 Ducati Desmosedici, and not by a little bit, by a mile. And you can't help but consider this impressive. It's an absolutely great performance. And to me, even, if it's not the outright speed, then he messes up qualifying and then plows through the field as if nobody else was even there. I think that's enough reasons to appreciate what Marc Marquez is doing right now. But even if you're more into the drama, the more soap opera kind of stuff, that's also still ongoing. You still have the feud with Valentino Rossi and some of his camp. Things being said on social media, apparently, or not being said, I don't even know, because I'm not into this kind of stuff too much. But maybe you do enjoy it, or at least some people who like MotoGP enjoy it. possibly even as a guilty pleasure. And even that with Marquez is still there. So I would say maybe Marc Marquez is not the only reason MotoGP is still interesting. Of course, it's still a great sport, but I think he is contributing really a lot of stuff this year and has made the season a lot more attractive than it would have been without him. Now, I don't want to ignore the performances of Pecco and Jorge Martin, obviously. La Bestia also being very good this year, and for example, super rookie Pedro Acosta and others. But Marquez is just a little more in terms of this charisma, the superstar, if you want, charisma. And I also want to make clear, I'm neither in the Marc Marquez camp nor in the Valentino Rossi camp. I try to be objective, which hopefully comes across, and this is my opinion. So, what do you think? Tell me in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. Donnie Desmo, out.